Hi, my name is Justin LaForest, and for my project I have chosen to produce a delineated watershed map for Lochaber Lake. This video will go over the main steps required to follow in order to create your very own topographic watershed map. A watershed is a topographically defined area by points of highest elevation, which dictate the volume of precipitation that will contribute to a given system. These points can be systematically derived through working with elevation data in a geographic information system. Proper understanding of a watershed for a given aquatic system is useful to inform decisions concerning land use planning, which is a main concern for the future of Lochaber Lake. Further issues in regard to elevated siltation rates can be further interpreted using a watershed map by identifying areas of high accumulated flow. Additionally, recent issues concerning an increase in algal bloom frequency occurs as a result of increased nutrient bioavailability, wherein knowledge of a watershed boundary can aid in determining point sources of nutrients entering the lake through tributaries. The data required to produce a watershed map is surface elevation data that is in the form of a raw digital elevation model known as a DEM. This data is available from the province of Nova Scotia's online data repository. As you can see from this video, I am manually selecting the tiles that surround Lochaber Lake and adding the DEM file to my cart, where I then download and save the files to be later used in a GIS setting. The tools used to perform a watershed delineation in ArcGIS Pro are found within the hydrology toolset of the Spatial Analyst toolbox. The required steps begin with the DEM, where it is then converted to a mosaic raster. Following this, the hydrology tools of fill, flow direction, flow accumulation, snap pour point, and watershed were used to produce a raster that was then finally converted to a polygon shapefile. Due to the nature of the file sizes and the corresponding processing time, the upcoming slides feature screenshots of the achieved outputs from each step, along with a description of the function of each tool. After downloading the digital elevation model and adding it to ArcGIS, it will appear as such, with noticeable boundaries between the tiles. Using the available raster functions, I was able to create a mosaic raster that blends the boundaries between adjacent tiles based on a distance-weighted algorithm to determine the value of overlapping pixels. With the newly created mosaic raster used as the input, the fill tool fills sinks to remove imperfections from the DEM data, where sinks are defined as cells with an undefined drainage direction, meaning that there are no cells surrounding it lower in elevation. Using the output from the fill tool as the input, the flow direction tool determines the direction of the flow of water from each grid cell to its steepest downslope neighbor, producing an output that looks like this. The newly created flow direction layer is used as the input for the flow accumulation tool that calculates the accumulated flow of water to each cell, as determined by the accumulated weight of all cells that flow into each downslope cell. The output from this step appears much different from all of the previous outputs, but nonetheless still provides an important step in the process. A snap pour point is defined as the points at which water flows out of an area, which is the location of the lake outlet for Lochaber Lake. Using the flow accumulation raster and a point layer defining the outlet location, the snap pour point tool snaps this point to the cell of highest flow accumulation within a specified distance. Using the data produced in all of the prior steps, the watershed tool produces the boundary that is known as the watershed limit, wherein all precipitation that falls beyond the boundary will not become attributed to Lochaber Lake. The main function of the raster to polygon tool is to convert the rasterized edge appearance to a more smooth continuous shape. To produce a more complete looking map, the raster to polygon tool is used to convert the output achieved in the watershed step to a more usable form of a polygon shapefile. Upon creating a hillshade from the original mosaic raster to be used as the base map, river, lake, road, and landmark data sourced from the online data repository was added to provide a point of reference while also producing a visually appealing map. In addition, I chose to orient the map with north being on the left side of the page for comparability purposes to the previously produced map indicating sampling locations. I hope that this video was found to be informative about the steps required to produce a watershed map, and I hope that the members of the Lochaber Community Development Association find usefulness in this map in the future.